Good morning, Uganda. It is Tuesday, the 60th day of June 2023. And for me, I usually like a Tuesday because it's the way I time it to be a Tuesday. You get to choose what you want to do with your day. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, and we're here to make sure we can take you through this morning. It is quite chilly and rainy outside for parts of Kampala and other places within the area, at least of Central. So that kind of gets cold. If you're also trying to get to work or to any destination, you might want to be aware of that. But also, if you're still home, we want to make sure that we can actually inspire you and bring a little bit of warmth in this morning. Of course, we'll be giving you much more of what is quite making headlines, and of course some of the issues that you might be concerned about, especially when it comes to national issues, political, economical, everything, social. You can count on Good Morning Uganda to be able to give you that. Now, personally, I don't know, I want clarity. I'm hearing more of the comments coming in about the NIRA process of renewing our national IDs. The first time, people were reluctant the first time this whole national ID thing came out. And I remember some of us who went there first, we actually didn't have to pay for anything. This was like a general thing. Now later, people who missed that general process had to pay to get their national IDs. Now it is what I'm wondering even this time, because NIRA is saying these are supposed to be free, but then you see somewhere where it's written on social media that you actually pay a fee of 50. So we need clarity there. And Robert here is always, with some of these guys, the head of these departments, probably, or these authorities, probably he knows something about this whole national ID. I know a lot of Ugandans need clarity, and probably we might need also someone from NIRA to give more comments, because people are still wondering whether this process is going to be free. When can they get to renew their IDs? Or is it even a matter of going up to the offices, or you can actually, is it the main offices, or you can branch to any of their offices throughout the country and get your national ID replaced? Because that could also take a process. We don't know how long it takes. I had the spokesperson actually of NIRA coming out to say if you have travels maybe later in the year, you might want to start your process now. Is it even open? So there are still most of the concerns coming out on social media, but also from a lot of Ugandans that are concerned. Robert, good morning, and please give us clarity if you know something.
Well, morning to you.
Morning.
You know, when you talk about national IDs, a number of Ugandans get in that shivery mood because they most of the time think getting a national ID is something like you're after a moving target. But one thing I can assure you is NIRA will conduct what we call mass registration. Now, there are people that got IDs, and the national IDs have a period of 10 years. And this was put in place because it's not that your citizenship or your being a Ugandan expires, but the material in which the national ID is made was predicted that after 10 years, really it could have had damages. So you need to get another national ID. Now, mass registration, renewal of your national ID is totally, completely free of charge. Where you pay a charge is when you want to change particulars on your national ID. For example, when you are filling in your form, you're Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. By then, you made Robert Kirabo. And in some documents, your educational documents have Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. So you will go to court, or you have a statutory declaration, then NIRA will charge you 50,000 for that. If you've lost your ID, NIRA will charge you 50,000 for that. Yes, there's a proposal, but it wasn't approved. I don't think it saw the light of Parliament when they talked about 200 and all that. So it's 50,000 you've lost. 50,000 you want to change your documents. You want to change your specifics. The new entrance, it's free of charge.
Oh, okay.
It's free of charge. You pay totally nothing. However, sometimes Ugandans, we have shortcuts. We want shortcuts, and that is upon you. You choose to have someone help you, brokers and all that, that is not official money.
They actually arrested some of the brokers that
yes,
were
and they have been arresting
trying to get
a number
money
of
from
them.
people. So this is not a practice you want to get involved in.
But away from that, yesterday in our news we were discussing Uganda, China-Uganda Friendship Hospital that had been disconnected. Now as we speak, National Water and Sewerage Corporation disconnected Entebbe National Referral Hospital. This is an hospital that serves about 6 districts, and right now it has no water supply. The senior hospital administrator came out clearly and said, we have nothing to do but to suspend some services, one of them being operation. So if you need to go to theatre, Entebbe Hospital will not do that. Among others, he mentioned, he said government gives them 120 million. Yeah, that is for water. And they have already paid that money to National Water and Sewerage Corporation, and they don't have any other monies. So right now they don't have water, they're suspending some services because they have a debt of 488 million that they must pay to National Water and Sewerage Corporation. We pray, we hope this does not extend to other hospitals. And I'm asking myself, why is it now you disconnect Naguru, you disconnect Entebbe, soon recently you are going for Mulago? What is happening? These are health services.
Well, it looks like National Water and Sewerage Corporation is actually getting serious with this. This is accumulated money from way back, and now we're seeing 2 hospitals already down because of failing to pay these monies. Now the question is, what is government doing about it? Or even if you look at the funding that usually comes in, how can they resolve this quarter? Can there be a temporary fix to this, or can government negotiate with with National Water and Sewerage Corporation to see that some of these hospitals keep running while they also make commitments? Because there is a reason why they're also doing it cut off. It means that there has been failure, and maybe if you look at, for example, the case of Naguru, close to 1.3 billion, it means there has been probably negotiations at that, and still the money was not paid. So maybe now they are also taking the worst alternative, which is not good for Ugandans. We still want to be in these hospitals, we'll need help there. So we ask that there is a very, very quick intervention to this matter so that people are still able to access healthcare services. Now, Felix, I don't know what is on your mind this morning. What is catching your eye when it comes to Uganda, our motherland? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mollen?
I am doing all right.
How was your night?
Quite okay.
So where are these drizzles coming from? I thought June, July was supposed to be dry months.
Now, fortunately for us, the moment we are located close to Lake Victoria, we always have that local effect, a beneficiary of being close to a lake. It usually enhances activities there, and we get to have rains even in a dry season. That's a big advantage that
So do you expect them to be quite constant?
Now, also, those are usually not much. If you notice, they are usually just in small quantities. The intensity is really low, and they're not consistent. So you can't count on those, especially if you're looking at big activities like planting. Usually, they are not sustainable.
You shouldn't be excited.
Unless it helps cool things down. When the temperatures are higher, though, it helps to keep them down. So there is excitement there.
Anyway, still about the story of National Water and Sewerage Corporation going ahead to disconnect, that is Entebbe Grade B, it is?
It's now Entebbe, it was uplifted to a national referral hospital.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're just trying to prove a point.
That's what I'm wondering. Even threatening.
And this time I think it was about 400 million.
488 million.
And I'm thinking to myself, but you see, the beauties and wonders of this world. Now, unfortunately, Naguru did make yesterday's statement that they have discontinued particular services there that include anything to do with theatre work, anything to do with maternity. They are only handling, I think, basic health,
even
giving medication and on and off,
Richard
giving medication.
came out and said the same services you mentioned, they have suspended them.
I mean, but also there's another big outcry, and I think this was from the management of this hospital, saying that, for example, like in Entebbe, I don't think Nakuru has staff quotas. They said in Entebbe, the water is being majorly used by the staff quarters, abused, they said. But all this said, I don't find anything sensible in both of what the parties are saying. Whether staff, as long as they're not outsiders, but if they are staff, like,
and this
water is water.
Production.
Like, water is not like sugar, where you say, I mean, water is water.
Yeah.
You can't say that because there is no water, I'm going to shower a cup of water. When you go to flash, you don't say, can flash, like, water it can't be wasted unless someone is pouring it, like, and that's for kids. Like, I don't get the point when someone says they are wasting water.
And even when they talk of staff quarters, this is not a big
exactly.
number.
And I like the word used, staff. You get the point. Yeah. They're entitled. I'm thinking.
Well, according to Dr. Mubaze said that there is wastage because these staff are not paying the water, so they must find means where the staff pay for their water bills.
That is their problem. That's not the problem of patients. Yesterday we talked about something, if you remember, project planning. What was the plan? If it was about cutting, do that. But why is a poor patient being affected?
No, you go to Entebbe, you can't have a surgery, so you move
to... But honestly, you know, all these things, but also for National Water and Sewage Corporation. And this is, yesterday I was on the roads and I was thinking to myself, now also the ED will come and wants us to give him space because in Avakusala Komazi, and I don't know if they expect us to be up to applaud them, to thank them. But anyway.
They should explain why are they doing it now? And
but also there is laxity. There's laxity from Ministry of Health. They haven't even come out to say anything about this situation.
Yes, they had the Minister of Finance. No, but the spokesperson, I think of...
and even the Director of Health Services.
Continuously.
Dr. Mwebesa came out and talked about this issue. And he said, we get little money for these particular utilities.
We
for
want
example,
them to tell us why
Entebbe
they
Hospital,
made to pay water.
every year they get 120 million, which have already deposited. And then he also talked about the budgeting of these hospitals, that sometimes they present less than what they need for their budgets.
No, but how about the solution now? What do we do? Are we going to wait for more hospitals to be cut off for us to keep lamenting about the fact that there is not enough funding? Because this is what is coming across, right?
When the problem is general, then
they say we don't have enough funding, but what do we do now? Because more hospitals could be affected. What if that was Mulago being cut off right now? Because we know this is the biggest national refinery
I told you,
we have.
With the thing we just have to get a toll-free line to State House. I'm telling you, you get one. Because some of these things you can't report to anyone apart from His Excellency. He's the best person to give answers for such things. So you have to tell it. What? Because this is abnormal. You get the point. The thing is here. The water is there.
Where is the water?
Isn't it in the pipe somewhere? Like, the problem is not that we can't pump, but the water is there.
Yeah.
But someone just came and...
Because we need
you get the
money
point.
to run these turbines, run these machines, to run
it is not
national water.
Even when the water is there, it is not free. Otherwise, we would be having free water.
All of us
now,
would be
that's
having
what I'm saying.
free water
So,
running.
You see, have you ever seen a scenario? Have you heard of these things that for the wife and husband, I'll keep quiet. Then, for example, kids, it's time for kids to go back to school. But because you have your issues, maybe then all of you decide to keep quiet for each other. And kids actually don't go to. But do you know why they don't go to school? They are suffering from the small brains of their parents. And they don't actually go to school. It is what we are suffering from. You're having two parents who have decided to have their fights, and then they don't take kids to school.
Well,
one government institution is saying,
intervention here. We need solutions, and I can assure you, usually, by the way, the president does watch UBC a lot, and maybe our voices as well to this could count. So, Felix, you might not need a toll-free, but the president does listen to these matters. and is very careful, especially when it comes to matters concerning
someone will
Uganda.
lose a job out of this whole thing. Someone will be fired.
Yeah.
This is much cooler, sir, you people. Because you can't disconnect a hospital.
And you don't tell me the people in National Water and Sewage Corporation, those ones are fighting government. The NUP members are better than those people I'm telling you. Those ones are fighting
they have
government.
an obligation.
To do what? To kill
You have to
Ugandans.
pay for what you consume, and by our constitution it doesn't eliminate or exonerate hospitals, it doesn't exonerate public institutions, so if you have
in
to
just
pay,
1 minute, Mollen and Robert,
then you must pay.
let me use this
word.
word. Let me just educate ourselves and our viewers. In existence of a constitutional right, everything else is below it. The right to health is supreme to all the things you're saying, those fine obligations. The right
So
to
Felix,
health
what
is,
you're trying to
we have
say
to
is,
first
should
cater for the
we give hospitals
constitutional
free
right.
water?
What's wrong with it?
Then who is paying the bill? Because at the end of the day, as long as there is a system to pay that bill, it
We
has
can
to
always
go.
find a way.
Remove that system. National Water gives
We
water
can
to
always find a
everybody.
way.
You have water bills, I have
We
water
still
bills,
need a
everybody
lot
has water
more
bills.
of discussion
So
about
just
this
exonerate
particular
that portion
topic.
that hospitals
And I feel like we
use.
might
Can I
not
ask you a
even
question?
exhaust it now.
Do you know how many government institutions National Water and Sewage Corporation demands money?
They're probably
There
not
are
in a billion by
many.
now.
There are very many. But also one time, okay, why don't they probably disconnect some of the barracks? Remember the last, I think there's a time they disconnected Naguru, if you remember, there was a big saga.
Police
Yeah,
barracks.
Yeah. So all these things, you know, in the existence of a right, we can always negotiate.
But at
We
the
can
end of the
always
day,
negotiate.
at the end of the
These
day,
negotiations
Felix,
could
I
have
want to
happened when
believe
the water is there.
At the end of the day, I want to believe that this is something that can still be taken on. We need more discussion
lot
about
lost
this.
already.
But also, there are a lot of stories across the country, and of course, going internationally. We'll be looking at our local stories. Robert, what do we have?
Well, yesterday was World Environment Day, and the president came out very clearly and said we need to find substitutes to plastics. More so the commonly known as Kavera. President Yoweri Museveni underscored the need to substitute plastics with paper bags in a drive to protect the environment. In a speech read by the Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, President Museveni highlighted packing materials made of banana leaves, paper bags as those that should replace polythene bags. Nabanja was speaking at the commemoration of World Environment Day at Koro Independence Grounds.
Now 6 students of Half London Primary School found in Gulf Zone 12 in Kitintali Nakawa Division, Kampala, have narrowly survived a fire outbreak that engulfed the school. Now the OC Kitintali Police Station ASP Cheyamwe Moses said the police firefighting brigade responded on time and saved the situation that was slowly sliding into regrettable disaster.
And moving on, Sheikh Yunus Kamoga was summoned by police allegedly for operating an unlicensed training center at his home in Kawempe, Kampala Division. According to Fred Enanga, the spokesperson of Uganda Police, this training center is suspected to be promoting radical Islamic teachings. It has been found out that 32 young adults were being unlawfully accommodated in this center. Police have taken Tugume Kadiri, a security guard at Meru Fuel Station in Kiwanga, Mukono District, into custody following the shooting to death of a UCU student, that is Uganda Christian University. According to reports, the two individuals had a confrontation that ultimately led to the guard firing a fatal bullet, claiming Agaba's life. Meanwhile, in a separate incident, 54 students of Old Kampala have been apprehended for possession of narcotics.
Now still looking at local stories, the International War Crimes Division Court in Koro has failed to read charges of attempted murder and murder of Brenda Nantongo, daughter of General Katumba Wamala. It follows the absence of a of a Nubian interpreter in court where two accused persons understood Nubian. Meanwhile, High Court Criminal Division has set 15th June 2023 to resume with the hearing of the case where two are accused in the murder of a border cyclist, Sekarara Damiano, around Machindi.
Moving on to the international scene, the former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has officially filed paperwork to join an increasingly crowded field of Republicans running for president. Mr. Pence, 63, is set to formally launch his campaign with a video speech and town hall event in the early voting state of Iowa on Wednesday. The move puts him against Donald Trump, the man he served in the White House for 4 years, from 2017 to 2021. Now, the former Indiana governor and congressman is expected to position himself as a continuation of Trump administration conservative agenda without the baggage. And in South Africa, paleontologists said they have found the oldest known burial site in the world, containing remains of a small-brained distant relative of humans previously thought incapable of complex behavior. Led by renowned paleontologist Lee Berger, researchers said that on Monday they discovered several specimens of Homo naledi, a tree-climbing Stone Age hominid, buried within 30 meters underground, a cave system that is within the cradle of humankind, a UNESCO World Heritage Site near Johannesburg. Now, these are the most ancient intermittent yet recorded in, that is, the hominin record, earlier than the evidence of Homo sapiens intermittents by at least 100,000 years, the scientists wrote in a yet-to-be peer-reviewed and print papers to be published in eLife. Now, in Ghana, the recruitment of nurses by high-income countries from poorer nations is out of control, according to the head of one of the world's biggest nursing groups. The comments came as BBC finds evidence of how Ghana's health system is struggling due to brain drain. Many specialist nurses have left the West African country for better paid jobs overseas. Now, in 2022, more than 1,200 Ghanaian nurses joined the UK nursing register. Now, this comes as the National Health Service increasingly relies on staff from non-EU countries to fill vacancies. In another story, the Royal Netherlands Academy of Arts and Sciences just published a report on climate change's impact on health, warning of dire consequences should the world not act to curb global warming. What KNAW calls a climate crisis is leading to an increase in frequency of wildfires, heat waves, floods, and extreme drought. Now, if climate change continues to warm the earth undated, billions of people could experience heat stress, infectious diseases, malnutrition, flooding, and mental health problems, according to the report. The survival of many communities is at stake as excessive heat, drought, or flooding could make them become unlivable. Last year in Pakistan, we witnessed how floods displaced 30 million people, killing nearly 2,000. Quite a lot happening, but we also have what is in the print media for today, and we'll be looking at some of the papers coming out for today and what is making headlines, and of course we'll be taking you through that as well, and later on we'll also be getting into some of the papers that are coming in from our neighbors here in East Africa. But for now, we'll take an inspiration song of the day just to kickstart your morning, and when we get back we have more discussions in Good Morning Uganda Newsreel.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. It is Tuesday, the 60th day of June 2023. And for me, I usually like a Tuesday because it's the way it's meant to be, a Tuesday. You get to choose what you want to do with your day. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, and we're here to make sure we can take you through this morning. It is quite chilly and rainy outside for parts of Kampala and other places within the area, at least of Central. So that kind of gets cold. If you're also trying to get to work or to any destination, you might want to be aware of that. But also, if you're still home, we want to make sure that we can actually inspire you and bring a little bit of warmth in this morning. Of course, we will be giving you much more of what is quite making headlines, and of course some of the issues that you might be concerned about, especially when it comes to national issues, political, economical, everything, social. You can count on Good Morning Uganda to be able to give you that. Now, personally, I don't know, I want clarity. I'm hearing more of the comments coming in about the NERA process of renewing our national IDs. The first time, people were reluctant the first time this whole national ID thing came out. And I remember some of us who went there first, we actually didn't have to pay for anything. This was like a general thing. Now later, people who missed that general process had to pay to get their national IDs. Now it is what I'm wondering even this time, because NERA is saying these are supposed to be free, but then you see somewhere where it's written on social media that you actually pay a fee of 50. So we need clarity there. And Robert here is always, with some of these guys, the head of these departments, probably, or these authorities, probably he knows something about this whole national ID. I know a lot of Ugandans need clarity, and probably we might need also someone from NERA to give more comments, because people are still wondering whether this process is going to be free. When can they get to renew their IDs? Or is it even a matter of going up to the offices, or you can actually, is it the main offices, or you can branch to any of their offices throughout the country and get your national ID replaced? Because that could also take a process. We don't know how long it takes. I had the spokesperson actually of NERA coming out to say if you have travels maybe later in the year, you might want to start your process now. Is it even open? So those are still most of the concerns coming out on social media, but also from a lot of Ugandans that are concerned. Robert, good morning, and please give us clarity if you know something.
Well, morning to you.
Morning.
You know, when you talk about national IDs, a number of Ugandans get in that shivery mood because they most of the times think getting a national ID is something like you're after a moving target. But one thing I can assure you is NERA will conduct what we call mass registration. Now, there are people that got IDs, and the national IDs have a period of 10 years. And this was put in place because it's not that your citizenship or your being a Ugandan expires, but the material in which the national ID is made was predicted that after 10 years, really it could have had damages. So you need to get another national ID. Now, mass registration, renewal of your national ID is totally, completely free of charge. Where you pay a charge is when you want to change particulars on your national ID. For example, when you are filling in your form, you're Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. By then, you made Robert Kirabo. And in some documents, your educational documents have Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. So you will go to court, or you have a statutory declaration, then NERA will charge you 50,000 for that. If you've lost your ID, NERA will charge you 50,000 for that. Yes, there's a proposal, but it wasn't approved. I don't think it saw the light of Parliament when they talked about 200 and all that. So it's 50,000 you've lost. 50,000 you want to change your documents. You want to change your specifics.
The
new entrance, it's free of charge.
Oh, okay.
It's free of charge. You pay totally nothing. However, sometimes Ugandans, we have shortcuts. We want shortcuts, and that is upon you. You choose to have someone help you, brokers and all that. That is not official money.
They actually arrested some of the brokers that
and
were
they've been arresting
trying to get
a number
money
of
from
them.
people. So this is not a practice you want to get involved in.
But away from that, yesterday in our news we were discussing Uganda, China-Uganda Friendship Hospital that had been disconnected. Now as we speak, National Water and Sewerage Corporation disconnected Entebbe National Referral Hospital. This is an hospital that serves about 6 districts, and right now it has no water supply. The senior hospital administrator came out clearly and said, we have nothing to do but to suspend some.
To apply, MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
The Magical Egypt Tour 2023 is here. A heavenly miracle waiting across the natural and divine attractions of Egypt, such as Cairo, Giza Pyramids, Saqqara, Memphis, and many more that will offer the gift of a lifetime. The chance to unlock all of the hidden powers of mind and soul, gain the enlightenment of the past and the future, and develop the power of healing. Departure will be Friday 16th up to 23rd June 2023. Basic package starting at $1,200, 8 days and 7 nights. To register, come to Gotove Tours and Travel at Nalkwago Complex Suta, UG's Extender, George Street, Nakasero, or call +256 758 530 059 or +256 784 568 392 or WhatsApp +256 782 556 078. Only few slots are left. Powered by UBC Television.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. Her reason to imagine is slay. His reason is to be the GOAT. Theirs is to take the beat and make it lit. They want to test edgy until it is fire. Their reason for imagination is to add riz in style. Her reason to imagine is finesse. And hers is to find what's new and bussin'. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you so much for continuing to keep it with us here at UBC. And of course, if you're also joining us right now, we're looking at a newsreel and obviously getting you into your topical discussion that is concerning to our country, but also worldwide as well. Now, yesterday did mark the 50th anniversary of World Environment Day, and this was commemorated even here in Uganda, celebrating under the theme Beat Plastic Pollution. And that, when you talk about plastic pollution, it does spark a lot of conversation about how far we're going in beating plastic pollution itself. We know that this has contributed immensely to environmental degradation, but also in a current state where we talk about climate change. A few things that have been very much contributing to that is pollution, and we look at how plastics have affected the environment but also marine life. Now also you look at how far we've gone in terms of pollution. Now the figures do show that over 400 million tons of plastics are produced worldwide every year. The question is, where do they end up? Well, this was also according to a recent program report that was made by the United Nations Environmental Program called Turning Off the Tap. Now, in this report, they are also redesigning how we produce, use, recover, and dispose plastics and products that could save $45 trillion by 2040. That is worldwide. But if you want to bring it back home here, we want to look at how far we have gone in terms of ending plastic pollution in Uganda. And we know that there have been interventions that were made even before, talking about how as a country we can come together to end plastic pollution, but also mainly to the manufacturers. Are they able to adhere to the guidelines that were given by the Ministry of Water and Environment, but also coming in with recommendations from NEMA on how we can safely use plastics or even avoid those? And on a positive note, we have seen some of the top hotels, actually now about 2 that I've personally seen, that have moved away from using bottled water with plastics to now at least the metallic ones. Those are easily recyclable, and they are able to at least reduce on the problem. But we still know that there is concern about the ones that are circulating within the markets. Are they able to, have a way to recycle those? Most of those end up in our gardens, most of those end up in our lakes, in our rivers, and henceforth they are causing pollution. And the problem is even bigger because we're looking at the consequences of long-term disposal of those. And that's what we were trying to understand, today. I'll bring in Robert here, especially looking at, yes, we did see the world celebrate World Environment Day, but we know that this year came with a theme of beating plastic pollution, and in Uganda there has been a lot. Even a policy was made on how we can end kavera, locally known as kavera, that is plastics. But we want to understand, how deep is this problem?
Thank you, Mollen. First, we must understand that some of the problems we are having today, we never had them. For example, the biggest challenge now is the kavera of 30 microns and below, which is a single-use kavera. Because plastics, if reusable and recycled, that means they are well disposed. So when you use it, you don't only have to use it once or twice. Like a Benson at home is a plastic.
Yeah.
A bath, it's plastic. But it's not single use. You will use that Benson for some time. Now, if after using that Benson, then it can be recycled and another product is made out of it, then plastics, their impact to our environment would be very less. But now the challenge comes with this kavera that you go for shopping. I use, I throw, I use, anyone uses. Now previously, as we look at this as an impossibility, let's go some years back. I know my brother Felix was around. He has ever seen the days of Vikapu. It would be a myth for him, it would be a lie for him to tell me that he never saw people going to buy meat and they were going with Vikapu. Riven from banana, riven from palm trees or something. Saiso or something like that. We didn't have Uvera, I was around, he was around, we can pardon you. So even there's a time we had paper bags, some khaki bags that you would go and get meat, then they put in that, then you put in the chikapu,
But even in villages, they sell meat
Even in villages.
banana ndagala.
Even you had banana leaves. Which after using, when you throw it there,
you either take your container or they come with.
So that is the good thing. Old is gold. And that is why we should have such brothers here to give us some of their moving encyclopedias. So
what do you
is important
here?
So today we are made to believe and think that, you know, we cannot do without that dangerous plastic, that dangerous kavera. And that is the problem with modernity, that it makes you think that what is there, life begins and ends with it. But you have ever been there. We have ever been there. Now, the danger of plastics, most of those that are of single use, one, to our soils. Today, there is rarely a garden you can go to and you don't find a polythene bag. When you're digging, people in agriculture, farmers will ascertain to this. Even deep in the village, as you're digging, or kabala, whatever you do, you come across a kavera. And in some areas, you struggle to remove them, but you can't finish them. Remember, they don't degrade. They take years. I hear science tells us some take 100 years to degrade. Now, this soil has microorganisms that our plants need, that even the soil needs aeration. So these plastics cover up the soil. And if you're keen to, if you put a polythene bag somewhere for some time, if you remove this polythene bag, you see how the soil there would kind of have developed a mole or something. That is to our soils. They have clogged water bodies. These plastic water bottles, these uvera, they have clogged water bodies. Some areas where we have, it rains and it floods. You look at what is blocking this water. Plastics. Go to livestock. Go to waste. The Kundas will tell you, go to Karamoja, go to areas where there is so much cattle. Even here in Uganda, people that are doing zero grazing. One of the things that is killing these cows are buvera. You invest so much for us, you work tooth and you give an arm, you buy your Frisian. As you're here, you're doing the shoulder, then the farm manager gives you a call. And they are in the kavera. In the cow, plastic. Either look for a vet, the cost of that operation is very expensive, but most of the time, that cow is gone. And to our brothers in the village, you just slaughter and sell that meat because the kavera is going to kill the cow. Bad-hearted people, they don't struggle with you. You just put a few soap, then your cow has gone. So livestock, now I'm talking of cows, I mean goats, I mean it is very, very dangerous to our communities, to our lives. We are losing land. Yet many of our people are living in rural areas and they are depending on agriculture. So if the soils are not able, and you see there's a trickle-down effect. If the farmer in the village is getting poor yields, the Mollen, whose garden is a supermarket and a market, food is hiked. So it also comes to you that maybe where you have spent 10,000, you're spending 20,000 because the soils have become a problem because of uvera. If livestock, you look around and every person is bothering, let me remove uvera from my farm, the cost of that still goes back to the final consumer, either of meat or the dairy product that you're going to be taking from these cows. So there are a danger, and we should stop deceiving ourselves that these are unnecessary evils, that they are necessary. We must live with them because we've ever lived without kavera, we've ever lived without plastics that are of single use. Yes.
And of course, you do bring out all those scenarios where we're seeing now this is a problem that needs to be addressed, actually. And we are now witnessing more increase with the plastics on market, especially with a single use. And of course, when you ask manufacturers, all they're saying is their move to, the metallic bottles would be costly. So they are preferring plastics because of the low costs. And this is mostly when you look at the soft drinks, and we have an increasing number. I don't know how many juice companies are now there in Uganda. Quite a number you wouldn't count. But also, we want to note that I was reading a certain report from last year that was saying because we don't have a law against plastic disposal, that is also a problem, because me as Mollen, I can go buy my soda and take, and then I can dispose it anywhere at any time. There is no law that says I shouldn't dump a plastic anywhere. So that was a policy that was put across, but we also understand, and these are issues that we want to dissect, and I'll bring in Felix here. We're looking at most of the interventions that government has been working on, and of course the promise. Yesterday we did see the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja also coming out at Koro Memorial Grounds during the celebrations to say that there is need to educate Ugandans on how to properly dispose of plastics. But is that even enough? How about, because yes, you can be educated on how to dispose them off, but where they end up is an issue here, because we have seen that even the gazetted places for these plastics, when it rains, and these are reports that were also coming in from authorities like KCCA, saying when it rains, even the places where they have disposed of, they come down and they are blocking most of the drainage systems. So it's still a problem. Who is the key player here?
The person who was speaking, I think he was speaking on behalf of government, if I'm not mistaken.
Where do we put the manufacturers? Where do we put government? Where do we put the people that are using these plastics? Because we want to end the problem. But now everyone will be pushing blame to, because the manufacturers, we said, for us we do plastics, it's up to you to dispose it off well.
No. All those people all those people fit into a system, Mollen, which is put in place by government. Government can't run away from this. It can't. And that's why under its cardinal intent to cure the same, it has institutions that are directly supposed to assist with that. And those include but not limited to local governments. Okay, you have institutions that are statutory instruments like NEMA in particular, just to mention but a few. So it is not just an issue of, we all have to fit into a system. Everything you're mentioning, like even same thing here about Robert was saying, there is something that comes with power that is explicit. And it's about how we use it. We can use it for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And all those we have seen in this country. All right? Now, this issue of abuse of environment, pollution, the Kavera, among many other things, is something you cannot exonerate the government. It takes it just to make one statement like this for everything to be solved. Just one statement, and it doesn't need money, by the way. There's no one who's going to say we don't have a budget or we are short of funds. Okay? And other countries have done it. We have said time and again, and I think it's the same thing that Honorable Francis Babu yesterday on show here was emphasizing. We have the wrong people in the national offices. Let me give you a scenario. One of the projects we are working on with one of the institutions, academic institutions, and in one of the findings we did get is that when you're registering, for example, international company or any company that has come to do production, that has part of its production to be plastics, whether Bovera or bottles or what, you don't leave the tail open. You must close. You must close the tail in terms of disposal and recycling. Those must be made part of the contract we make with such people.
That you must have.
Is that rocket science? Is
And
that
to
really rocket
manufacture,
science?
then you need a recycling plant. If you don't have a recycling plant,
You can't be
then
given
you
a
don't
license.
get a license to recycle.
Does that need me
But
to
are
have
those
gone
really
to,
followed?
Harvard or Yale or what?
You see,
Do
are they
follow
really
that?
followed?
No, but is it
Still-
there? Is it there in their contracts? Do these companies have the obligation to be part of the QR? Because there must be an obligation. From the obligation is how we start to enforce. But is there an obligation? Have you ever seen a truck, like the trucks we see of mineral water, soda coming in town, Manya, Riham Ward, Coca, coming in town? Do we ever see the same magnitudes of these lorries taking plastics out of town? Have you ever seen anyone, any company car that produces plastics in this country, having a full car of plastics collected? Have you ever seen it? Doesn't that baffle your mind as leaders?
That is not their responsibility. That's why I'm
Because
saying
there is no
manufacturers
exactly.
distance themselves.
But where
from
does it
that.
start? It's what I'm saying. Because they don't have an obligation. But why don't you make it an obligation as part of these agreements? Attach it to a license. And for someone to renew a license, perhaps a production license or whatever, you need to prove that you have collected this much of tonnage in this year. But for us Ugandans, we do things like we don't have a vision sometimes. We do things like we don't have where we are going. I don't know if you, when you go to the biggest challenge of why we have floods in this country, it is because of those cloggings. Poor disposal. You're talking about roads, but how much does KCCA invest in collection? This would remedy the money we spend in collection of rubbish and what? That is not KCCA's obligation to collect plastics. You're giving it a burden it shouldn't carry.
Actually now, because of recycling plants that we have here, the burden has gone now to some boys who are earning a living. That they will go door to door everywhere, try to hunt for this plastic.
For them, that's not a burden. For them, that's not a burden.
Because they're earning.
Yes, it's work.
I want to commend them.
But you know how they don't even collect 1%.
Yes.
For your information. You see, that is manual. Secondly, let's be serious, people. And these things are not rocket science again. When I buy a Kavera, let's say I go to supermarket today. When I go to buy like 10 items, I don't know, I don't want to use the word foolishly, but it's a foolish thing. The supermarket will give me 10 buveras.
A toothbrush in its own, then soap in its own,
foolishly,
then
20 buveras.
The items
I
they
have
never
gone
mix.
home with 20 buveras. Even when I come back after 2 minutes to buy another 3 items, they will still give me another 3. So if I transact 20 times a day, I will get probably 20 times how many items I've transacted. That's about 100. Now, there is no way whatever discussion you're having around the environment and what is going to be successful with such kind of mannerisms. What is wrong with the Kavera I got yesterday? I have seen it elsewhere in the world. We are very wasteful. Africans and Ugandans are so wasteful. That Kavera can carry goods for 1 year. A Kaveraka. Remember our green buveras that used to have calendars and the man on a horse and what? Ngabakajjayo gena mukatale okupera koze katereki.
But you see, it's because of the availability.
It is
again.
it is not available.
If they were
Those
not
things
offered freely in supermarkets and in shops,
the
we
reason
would
why
actually carry.
The reason why I brought that example is to try and show you that the people on job, from my first statement, are sleeping on job. People have to attend functions, these ceremonial functions, and that's all they do. Idi was in attendance, chief of what was in attendance, commissioner was. That is useless. What order? What standing order? Because these institutions have powers to make laws. By laws, by law. What bylaws do they have annually? Tulina ku mateeka that the NEMA this year eresa amateeka gatunyiga buveera bwina. And you don't have to say you are banning buveera, but it's what you call technical fouls. Ruben would know. In sports, technically someone can beat you. These are what we call non-legal reforms. You just come with a bylaw and say, okay, that any person who has this magnitude of work or what, they're not supposed to use buveera. I saw it with there's a time I think Carrefour, I saw Nakumat some time ago. They used to sell it, and people had gotten into a habit of carrying there what you call chikapu. Someone's car, and they have those buveeras.
Some had policy that they never had polythene bags. Exactly. They had something. So you else.
Have then I said sometime I think Quality and then Capital Shoppers, they used to give you boxes. If you buy your things, you either hold them or they get you a box. Those are the simple ways we can defeat the wastage and use of capital. Let me tell you, the things you're talking about are we didn't know. Those things of saying, we don't disturb Parliament. The licensing bodies should assist in this. Why do you license a company that almost every day it churns out waste of plastics, probably over 10 tons on a daily, and it has no direct contribution in recycling? And you want that burden to fall on the government? People don't have water in Naguru. So what are these people taking all these profits doing for Ugandans apart from poisoning us with their drinks?
Well, I think you do bring out very good points on how this issue is being handled, especially looking at all these
there's a lot of joking
that are involved. And obviously now that poses a whole question of why are we allowing that to continue? Because I know at one point there was a proposal for a policy from Ministry of Water and Environment about the polythene bags themselves. But it looks like that never even went across, because also the manufacturers came out to say they would lose businesses, and a lot of companies that would close if they were to ban polythene bags. And that's where the complaint came in, and I think government couldn't push through with that policy. I can give you a
list of people who have lost businesses in this
country. Well,
and you also look at the fact that at least government has not been providing enough alternatives, and this is where I want to bring in Robert here, because we also, while we say we want to move away from plastics, we are ending plastics, we want to beat that. Whether you educate masses on how bad this is, most of them are already aware. They know how bad it is, but unfortunately they don't have an alternative to that. What alternatives can we look at to, beat the problem here?
Well, very interesting thing is that the solutions are available. One, we must first begin by banning single-use plastics. This white kavera where people carry windazi, carry sugar, and that you use once and have to deal away. This common black one. Let me just conclude this, please.
But how do you put something to eat in a kavera?
Because it's what happens.
Like a hot
buy honestly, they put them in a kavera. So because that kavera is available, if we wake up and say that this kavera does not enter Uganda, government we are talking about,
it is manufactured here.
We don't allow importation, because we have importation and we have domestic manufacturing. We have to. There's those we import and there are those we are manufacturing here. So it doesn't enter Uganda. If you have a plant and this is what you're going to manufacture, high tax. This is how certain things are eliminated. High tax. That it makes the kavera very expensive. Put high tax, ban completely. Some countries have. Just neighbors here, they have said no. We can remain with other plastics. We have these tanks. We have basins, we have jerry cans, because they are not single use. And then we make sure that for those we put a system of recycling as a must. We have a proper chain, because for those are not, they are bigger in size and they can easily be picked and go for recycling. But also we must again promote alternatives, because much as you're stopping, you must have an alternative. And to me, I believe we have a number of alternatives. For example, most of the areas where we are seeing plastics are in drinks and carriers used to carry. We can still have our paper bags. We can still have these woven baskets. Woven, Felix talked about them, a couple, those traditional ones. And here we are supporting a certain sector. You have crafts industry, you're supporting a certain sector. We can still do that.
And those are biodegradable.
And yes, and they degrade. And even where you get them, these palm trees, you know, it's not so you don't cut. You don't cut, remove it, continues growing. Prayer bags, when you go to a plant, you don't cut a tree. Some of them just need the skin to make paper. So, with those alternatives, but above all, there must be a will. Our country sometimes happens to be a white elephant in terms of having good policies, and someone made a joke. Laws are born in Uganda, they are grown in somewhere, then they're implemented in, and you get it. Because sometimes we have very good laws, but there must be a will. And I'm sometimes very disappointed with the word we are offering employment. With the word we contribute this amount of taxes. But you see, you cannot sell your soul to the devil because of we're offering employment. If before the Kavera came and these manufacturing countries, I mean companies, people didn't have jobs. Are they the only industries we have? If you are going to lose an industry that manufactures polythene bags, and you are going to have one specializing in paper bag packages, and people know there is an alternative, this is not there. Won't these factories, won't people go and work in those? Or won't even these very factories then turn into paper bag manufacturing factories? It is very possible. But the problem is, yesterday I saw the ED of NEMA saying that there is unfavorable legal regime on plastics, because he said the law bans Kavera of 30 microns, and he said even him himself, he can't differentiate which one is 30 microns. That is the ED NEMA on this day. Said even me, so I lack a favorable legal regime for me to implement this. There is so much joking and dilly-dallying in terms of ending, I want to be particular, single-use plastics in this country. It's like a talk, a feel, now these have gone to court, now we are meeting so and so, we are coming to parliament. But at the end of the day, when our souls are gone, the people are going to come after us. What country are we living for them? When things that we can work upon, we've deliberately failed to agree on them. And the other thing is this issue of conflict of interest. You see, Felix and Mollen, and most, leave alone having the wrong people in the right offices, but there is so much people into almost every aspect. People in offices today are all many, which is not bad doing business, but the funny businesses are where they are. And then you see conflict. Someone says, for me, I brought this investor, kickbacks. There is so much we need to streamline to have certain laws enforced in this country. We can no longer lament. We cannot keep on talking about Kavera. Time to act is now. We can only have reusable plastics, because those you can't eliminate. Even some car parts are plastic. But this single use, we must, at no joke, not even talk about recycling them, no. For them, we must ban. We used to drink soda in this country.
With metallic bottles.
With these, glass? Glass.
I mean glass bottles.
Glass bottles. Yeah. I grew up, Felix grew up. For us, we never saw these plastic bottles you're talking about. But why were they taking soda? And people were taking beer and enjoying their beer. People were taking waraji. But today you have small plastic bottles waraji, small plastic bottles soda, big plastic bottles. We can still, if we are determined, we can end this. But there's so much joking and conflict of interest, and of course kickbacks here and there to let people stay in business.
Absolutely, and of course, adding to the voice that Kirabo is putting across, we need to actually get into the action, because while we talk about all these alternatives, it will also take a higher will from government side, also from the manufacturers themselves. They should be willing to actually move to the other side, and you did bring out good points about the alternatives to plastic. I mean, to the paper bags. There is a time actually there is always a hype in this country. There was a hype on the caveras are ending, and people had already moved to that business. There was a lot of paper bag then, and I remember we were even shopping vegetables with paper bag, everything, even at the how do they call it, Ugandan, is it Chikomando, it's called what? Rolex. They were using most of those. They had taken away completely the caveras. So I think there is always a hype that doesn't manifest. And it happened recently as well, when we were talking about the disposal, asking cars to all have, the bins in the cars. And we already had people going for that business, creating small bins for cars. Which means Ugandans are actually able to adapt to the new alternatives if they are put across. The problem is those usually come at a hype and they die off. And Felix, as we conclude here, we are looking at all this from an angle that will have users adhere to what is being put across, probably from government, and most of these policies that are not making their way onto the table to be discussed or even be implemented. And we're looking at a solution here. What do we move forward with here?
Well, we are at a position where we have deliberately appreciated to lose, and this is on a spectrum of many aspects. As a country, we feel like we have accepted loss, that anything good we shall fight it. Why? Because there's someone who's gaining, maybe one person at the cost of millions of Ugandans, and we should say no to that. Okay, when a law comes banning use of Uvera, and then someone says there's an investor, there's someone gaining, maybe a political. I think those are the biggest challenges we have faced continuously in various aspects of trying to rectify errors in the country. We must also take notice that, this country doesn't live for us in a moment. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't be talking about planting trees. Last time we had an argument with one of the physical planners in Kampala, and we were asking them, what is your environmental policy? You, the physical planning authority. Like when someone is constructing a house, what do you demand of them in terms of environment? Is it a requirement? Do you ask them to spare some space for green on their building? These are some of the discussions. It is a discussion for all of us. Every sector has a contribution. All right? But I cannot lie to you that I have any demands from society. Society is driven by comfort. And let's not be deceitful, even ourselves. You can't say that I refuse a kavera, because, but if it's available, I'll definitely drive my comfort towards the same. But I can tell you, if they stopped those Guveras today,
would find alternatives.
They would definitely.
Then.
And as he said, you don't have to stop them, because the people who will need them, there are things that probably can't be done without them. They are there. We may not know, but they are there. You don't have to stop. But don't make it a very much available option. All right? Honestly, people today, actually, on a scale of 100 homes, 80 homes have a sack of Uvera and don't know what to do with them. Because every time they go to buy something, let me tell you, you can buy a pen, they will give you a kavera. But do you need the kavera to take a pen home? Someone goes to buy a kanzari for 100 and they give you a big kavera. These are the challenges. So every home is stuck with these waste. So as we celebrate events like environmental these days and celebrations, I think away from the beautiful speeches and nice suits and dresses and bitenjis for some of these our elder mothers who normally. Let's have the true discussions in the problem. These commemorations have become so much in Uganda. We are already commemorating, but there's no action. The EDNM has told you they are stuck in the absence of an enforcing law to some of the challenges. Now, if someone comes out to say that, what's next? People responsible, I think let's just get a bit busy, away from being simple busy. As I've always said, we have lots of people buzzing all over. Government officials, but when you ask them, where is the honey you have made? For what do they eat sound? So we need to get busy bodies. Government officials sometimes, most of them sometimes sleep on job in some of these institutions, you know, and the approaches are not necessary. They have one word, and I like it. Most of them have crammed it. There's no what? There's no money. No money. Let them make a song out of it.
And incidentally,
everything
they
money,
present budgets for some of these
some
programs.
Things don't need budgets. But in Uganda, we have a saying, Kemanya. You know, Uganda has not changed much. So that's what I'm saying. Let us assist ourselves from the start, the beginning. If you're incorporating, bring this, it can be a demand. As a matter of policy and practice in these institutions. For NEMA to license, there must be, you know, some of those things can help. These things of budget, they can come in to help with enforcement, but administration and, you know, putting in place, let's try to work around, let's work smart.
Well, absolutely, and of course the message here is let us be smart about this and make sure that we can be able to fight this problem. And some of our viewers actually did come through. Someone said the order should or must come from above to stop all these factories in making plastics or to alternate and make other decaying bags. That's what someone is saying, and saying that if other countries can manage to order and stop such plastic within a few period of time, why not us as Ugandans? Someone else also did come through to say, may God open eyes of Ugandans because we are sleeping with eyes open. And that goes across, I think, right from the users to the manufacturers to government itself. We need to end the problem because it is a danger to our environment, to our soils, to our foods, because we understand that most of these chemicals that they carry also end up in the food chain. And this is what the Prime Minister was saying, that they will end up causing health issues. So we need to also watch out for that, but also our marine life. They end up in lakes that at the same time they cause problems to the fish and everything that lives in the water. So this is something that needs to be addressed. We hope that the right officers take this on, and of course we end this problem once and for all in Uganda. We'll leave it at that. This is Good Morning Uganda News. We'll also be looking at some of the papers that some of the headlines that are making it to the papers today, looking at the Daily Monitor, the National, that is the NCHE agrees to drop expired course label, that is from the National Council of Higher Education. And of course now they come out to give, I think, a lot of good news. Maybe now universities can drop this whole expired thing of courses. And Chankwazi resolutions caught up in the legal queries. Well, we don't know which queries those are, but you can get yourself the paper and get more of that. BOU pays tribute to Nyeko. That is also a story for you. Nabanja calls for innovation on recycling plastics. And that is in the Daily Monitor. But also crossing over to our neighbors right there in the Daily Nation, UNGA sugar prices to go up again. What is causing that? And of course, looking at which prices are being looked at. That is all in the Daily Nation for today. Council climate meetings, Ruto rattles world at a city summit. Well, that is also interesting. Declare your sources of funding. NGOs hold on that. Well, there are more stories as well on employment offers. Get yourself a copy of the Daily Nation and you can get more stories over there. But also looking at what we have today in the Citizen, they're also giving you a big headline right there, looking at uptake, and of course more of that is coming through as well for the digital payment, and that is in the Citizen for today. You can get any of those papers and of course get updates on that. Right now we'll be taking a short break, and when we get back we'll look at the traffic updates and also give you the weather situation across the country. For now we take a short break. Good morning.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. Her reason to imagine is slay. His reason is to be the goat. Theirs is to take the beat and make it lit. They want to test edgy until it is fire. Their reason for imagination is to add riz in style. Her reason to imagine is finesse. And hers is to find what's new and bussin'. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
Eyange irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti
tompa bidara mpa irisiti yange. That's right, insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes including motorbikes, laptops, fridges and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
The Magical Egypt Tour 2023 is here. A heavenly miracle waiting across the natural and divine attractions of Egypt, such as Cairo, Giza Pyramids, Saqqara, Memphis, and many more that will offer the gift of a lifetime. The chance to unlock all of the hidden powers of mind and soul, gain the enlightenment of the past and the future, and develop the power of healing. Departure will be Friday 16th up to 23rd June 2023. Basic package starting at $1,200, 8 days and 7 nights. To register, come to Gotove Tours and Travel at Nalukwago Complex Suta, UG's Extender, George Street, Nakasero, or call +256 758 530 059 or +256 784 568 392 or WhatsApp +256 782 556 078. Only few slots are left. Powered by UBC Television.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back. We're looking at the traffic updates this morning, looking at some of the roads joining through the Kampala Northern Bypass this morning. And we are looking at areas of Bukoto. If you're coming in from Bukoto through the Northern Bypass, you might need to be aware of some of the roads over there that is joining onto the main highway. You do have a bit of traffic that is building up. Also right after the bypass, that is where you have a bit of traffic as well building up over there. That is also if you're taking in the Chisasi-Ntinda Road, where you have a bit of traffic all through as you join on from the main Chisasi-Ntinda Road towards the bypass. That traffic actually does continue even as you cross over, but then again it does get clear right after that, and that leads into a Bukoto area as well. You're looking at much more of that traffic clearing on. And also if you're also using some of the roads cutting across, you're looking at Gayaza Road right from that roundabout. You also have a little bit of clear traffic as well. The Bukoto roundabout, you have intense traffic that is building up over there across the roundabout as you cross over from the Northern Bypass coming into town. That does continue all the way with that Bukoto Road coming through, and it does clear as you join into some of the connecting roads like Kira Road. You do have a bit of clearance in terms of traffic right after that. But also you look at that is the joining side from Gayaza Road. Again, there is intense traffic that is building up over there. Right from Kalere, you do have intense traffic that does continue even up to Mulago. You do have more traffic building up for Binaisa Road as well. Dwairo Road across Mulago area. Also, you do have intense traffic. That is one that you might need to consider and be aware of this morning. And of course, also looking at if you're coming in from the Kampala Northern Bypass through Bwaise, some of the roads that are also connecting Bombo Road as well has intense traffic right after the roundabout. That does continue, but then again for a shorter distance it gets clear as you continue with Bombo Road. Also it again gets intense as you connect through from the connection from Gayaza Road as well, and connecting into Binaisa Road. That also does build more of that traffic. And then if you look at Sapolo Kagwa Road from the downer side, you also have intense traffic that does build up as you leave the roundabout, but then again it does get clear as you continue with the Sapolo Kagwa Road all the way. It actually does get a bit clear connecting to Makerere side, but also Makerere Hill Road, if you're using that to connect into Bombo Road or even the upper Kira Road, that looks to be quite clear traffic, so that could be easy for you to navigate this morning. But then again, talking of Kira Road, you also have more of the clear traffic that does come through from that main roundabout from Mulago, the junction that is joining in Kira Road, Haji Musa Kalule Road and Usefule Road. After that, you do have clear traffic that does lead into Usefule Road, and of course goes all the way up to town. Connecting roads also in there look to be quite clear. Look at some of the roads, Seziwa Road, Nakasero Road this morning as well looks to be quite clear. You do have Nile Avenue, Lumumba Avenue as well, where it has clear traffic, except at the roundabout where you have a junction joining in Nakasero Road, Lumumba Avenue as well as Speak Road. But that should get you down into Central City with clear traffic from the square roads right there. Away from that, we'll also be looking at the weather updates, tapping in from the satellites. It looks like that system that started off earlier with rains over the Lake Victoria Basin is still bringing in rains for most areas across parts of Kampala. We're also looking at areas within Wakiso, Entebbe as well, and parts of Mukono, where we're seeing a little bit of drizzles for now. And that rainy system is continuing for several places within the islands of Lake Victoria as well. That did start in earlier, but it looks like it is moving westwards, so meaning that we could see more rains developing, especially for the western side of Lake Victoria. So areas of Masaka, Kalisi, Orengo, Zimbabwe, do expect that you might have these rains come through for today morning, and they are headed your way. Well, we're seeing the white colors on the map. That is explaining the cloudy conditions, and also the red and yellow colors to blue indicating the rainy conditions that we're seeing across the country. And of course, we also did have a few of those across areas of Palisa this morning, Soroti as well, just a few drizzles in most areas within eastern Uganda actually that started off with rains. Jinja as well, we did see those rains come through for a few places. It looks like that system is still in play, and it is headed for areas of Kamuli. We could be looking at most of those rains as well for this morning. Across Mbale, we're still dealing with mostly cloudy weather, but we're seeing a few drizzles also come through for that area, and looks like that system is still propagating for much of eastern Uganda. So Soroti, Kabela Maido, Amuria, we could be looking at quite a cloudy one for you as well, and those rains are expected to cross over to most of those areas in eastern Uganda as the morning progresses. Otherwise, we're starting off with quite a sunny morning for areas of western Uganda, right from Kabale. We're looking at Kanungu, Mbarara, Rubirizi, Ibanda, also through to Kasese, Hoima, Masindi, Vulisa. We're looking at quite a sunny one for you this morning, as well as the northern part of the country. Quite a cloudy one for the northwestern part of the country, that is Arua, Yumbe. Otherwise, it's also a sunny morning again for the Karamoja region, and we're looking at most of that likely to continue even throughout the afternoon, as we still expect to have a mix of clouds and sunshine over the area. But also do look out for quite a cool morning for much of the Lake Victoria Basin, as well as parts of eastern Uganda, where we're seeing some of those rains still coming through. That does it for now. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Eyange irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti
tompa bidara mpa irisiti yange. That's right, insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes, including motorbikes, laptops, fridges, and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app, and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Oh, mwami musoke njose nekusanga
ate kiki
munange anti gwamanya okunyinnyonnyola ebintu by'emisolo bino n'embitegeera
ate kiki leero
mbadde ku dduuka nempulira nga abakyala bagamba mbu tulina okwewandiisa mu nkola ya ifris tukikolanga ate
kituufu nnyo
mbadde sikimanyi nakyo
eyo yenkola egenda okutuyamba okulwaninga bizinesi zaffe mu ngeri ya digito
etya
oba olina okuwandiisa bizinesi yo mu ifris osobola okumanya omuwendo gw'ebintu by'olina mu bizinesi yo enfulumya n'ennyingiza mu bizinesi yo awo URA esobola okukola omulimu gwayo ogw'emisolo obulungi
nedda mwami musoke kyesitegeera ifris eyingira etya mu bizinesi yange
kakati enkola ne ifris eyingiza bizinesi yo mu sisitemu ya URA kubanga tekyali kya buntu bulamu okugerekera omusolo ogutali mutuufu abateebereza buteebereza
ekyo kituufu ddala bannange ekyo kituufu kubanga mazima obadde omusolo gubadde gwapaala bupaazi ng'ogenda n'osasula omusolo gw'otomanyiko omutwe n'amagulu kwegamba bambi nga tekiriiyo
olaba kakati ati n'ekirala ifris eyamba okukuuma ebiwandiiko bya bizinesi yo kuba biyinza okubulako biyinza okukwata omuliro naye kati wano ifris biba biri digitalized
bannange nenkola nti okwewandiisa
kyaku nnyo waludde dda okwewandiisa mu nkola ya ifris genda ku kibanja kya URA www.ura.go.ug awo olondeko e-invoicing awo no ugoberere endagiriro URA tukulaakulanyize wamu Uganda.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Magical Egypt Tour 2023 is here. A heavenly miracle waiting across the natural and divine attractions of Egypt, such as Cairo, Giza Pyramids, Saqqara, Memphis, and many more that will offer the gift of a lifetime. The chance to unlock all of the hidden powers of mind and soul, gain the enlightenment of the past and the future, and develop the power of healing. Departure will be Friday 16th up to 23rd June 2023. Basic package starting at $1,200, 8 days and 7 nights. To register, come to Gotove Tours and Travel at Nalkwego Complex Suta, UG's Extender, George Street, Nakasero, or call +256 758 530 059 or +256 784 568 392 or WhatsApp +256 782 556 078. Only few slots are left. Powered by UBC Television.
MTN Uganda presents Saka Free Balls, King of the East, also recognized by the Kabaka of Uganda. Palazzo in a love fest. Tickets on the 9th of June at the Cricket Oval. 20k ordinary, 50k VIP. Tables go for 3 million shillings. For discounted tickets, use the MTN mobile money by dialing *165 *89 for 15k ordinary and 45k VIP. On Saturday the 10th of June, Mbara Ajip Motel. Sunday 11th of June, Fort Portal Grounds. Friday 16th of June, Luwero Grounds. Saturday 17th of June, Ginger Trans Garden. Sunday 18th of June, Mubende Stadium. Organized by Savavulu Badam. Come and witness the best concert of a new generation. Miss at your own risk. Sponsored by Pepsi Cola, Century Property Royal Estate, Mango Safari, Protea Hotel, Radio Bow, and MTN.
I've seen a number of community members out there that have formed themselves into groups and have identified enterprises, agricultural enterprises, rice and all that, and they've actually been successfully cultivating them. They've gone ahead, the project has gone ahead and also introduced small-scale industries like the rice huller, the grinding mills and all that are managed by the groups. All these are successes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this June 2023, we celebrate 33 years of a legendary school music doctor and professor, Sir Paul Saka, live at Kampala Serena Hotel, Victoria Hall, in a live music concert, dubbed 33 years of Paul Saka and school music in Uganda. All happening on 11th of June 2023 with Rama Namakula, Pastor Wilson Bugembe, Helena Nanjego, Stella Kayaga, Flona, Namkasa Bettina, Flash Love, Rebecca Jingo, Catherine Kusasida, and Sir Mesach Semakula. On 11th June at Serena Hotel, Victoria Hall, entrance is 100,000 shillings, 50,000 for students, and a table at 2 million. For reservations, call 0782-222-550 or 0701-043727. Sponsored by UBC TV, Star TV, Star FM, Magic TV, and all UBC radios. Budo SS, Hardware World, Clever's Origin Schools, St. Michael and Thomas Junior Schools, Nansana Chebando, Lady Valeria Vocational and Business College, and Silk Events.
My name is Abel Bakunda, Deputy RDC Career District. There are so many success stories and achievements that have been registered in Career District and cutting across all the sectors and departments. The government interest is to have seed schools in almost every sub-county. And so far, the coverage in Cairo, we are still like at 40%. We are starting, but we are moving at a high speed. Then the Winda Health Center, it is also a success story in the Department of Health. We are so far also the government is elevating the Manya Health Center for the district hospital. Then in the Department of Production, there are so many successful farmers moving far away from the traditional subsistence farming to the money economy. Our interventions of Myoga and PDM have so far had impacts on ground. Generally, it is good. We are trying, and there are so many success stories that anybody can come and see on ground.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
morning once again. Thank you for keeping it with us on UBC TV, because we begin Good Morning Uganda at exactly 6:30. So when I say good morning once again, and thanking you for being with us from that time, but also welcoming you in case you've just joined. Well, this is our morning show on UBC TV. Make it a date with us. It's a fully packaged show. There is so much that you can't afford to miss, because it all starts with some light moments, yet very informative, letting you know what is happening globally and internationally. Now, this morning, I'm going to be discussing something very important. I must emphasize, very, very important, because it is about food. It's not only important for you to have food, but how safe is the food you're going to be consuming, you're going to be eating. And tomorrow, the 7th of this month, globally is World Food Safety Day. The day is celebrated tomorrow. And the theme for this year is Food Standards Save Life. Food Standards Save Life. And with me on set, I have two guests with whom we are going to be discussing this. I have Dr. Igenyi James, who is the Principal Veterinary Officer, Public Health, Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Dr. Igenyi, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and greetings to the viewers at this moment. This day that we are looking forward, that is tomorrow, 7th, a very, very important day, because, like you said, food is very, very important to our lives. We need it to grow. We need to be healthy. But what is most important is that it should be safe. And as it is stated, food standards save lives. Is that you can eat, but what is important? What are you eating? So under food safety, we are saying we must ensure that whatever we eat is for safe for our bodies. We don't have to have outcomes where you fall sick. So food safety is very, very important, because it's important for our health, but also it's important for economic growth. Because this food, as we live in a global world, this food does not stop at home. This goes beyond home, and therefore we talk about food chain. And the food chain means that these are processes that ensure that if you have to provide food to the consumer, what do you go through? So food safety is very important. As of now, we are having challenges related to food safety. And what are those food challenges? We are seeing people coming down with foodborne diseases. But also, as the Minister of Agriculture, we have had challenges of rejection of our products when we export them. And therefore, food safety is challenging the nation in a way that if we don't export our products, and that is food, it means we shall not earn foreign exchange. And therefore, the country will not develop. Because when we talk about development, we talk about the local economies, farmers or whoever is involved in the food value chain to have money. And this is the gist of MAIF. Moderator, if I have to emphasize, when we talk about MAIF, the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, its main purpose is to provide food. And when we talk about food, we are talking about crop and animal. What is the vision of MAIF? We are saying we must have sustainable, profitable, and competitive products. And therefore, food safety comes in right away. That if we don't have products that are of safe and of good quality, they will not access market.
Therefore, farmers will be growing.
Will be growing for nothing.
Briefly, let me also first introduce my other guest who has just joined us. And this is Ian Chikomeko from, that is THP. Good morning and welcome to the show, Ian.
Yeah, good morning to you. Thank you for hosting, and we look forward to celebrating the D-Day. And well, issues concerning food and nutrition previously were not so sounding an alarm in regards to young people. But apparently, look at Uganda's case, a growing country, a growing economy with over 75%, 78% of its population being young people. And you realize a lot of issues concerning stunting, concerning malnutrition. And this is an issue whereby we need to see young people at the forefront of the fight against malnutrition. We need to see young people leading the agenda of food safety in this country. We cannot talk about food security, we cannot talk about issues concerning food and growth without food standards. And I think this is very key. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, I was just reading through some very interesting document, and it says 1 in 10 people worldwide fall ill from contaminated food each year. 1 in every 10 people fall sick or get diseases due to contaminated food. Over 200 diseases are caused by eating food contaminated with bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical substances such as heavy metals. Children under 5 make up 9% of the population, but carry 40% of the food-borne diseases in the world. Now, this is a big problem.
Yes.
Because it means people are eating food, but the food they're eating is not safe.
Yes.
This brings me to Doctor. As a Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, first help our viewer understand, when we talk about food safety, what are we referring to? That yes, don't just eat anything, but element of food safety.
Okay, thank you, moderator. When we talk about food safety, we are looking at, if I can use a term, we call them hazards. These are substances that may be introduced in the food or may be found in the food along the value chain, like I said, that at every point we may have hazards coming into the food chain. And these hazards, if you don't eat that is required, if at all it is required to be in the food that is recommended, then it will have impact on you. It will cause you harm. And therefore, that's why we talk about standards. Because keeping this, when you see food chain or food, is a complex thing. So to make it safe, because there are so many players involved, to make it safe, then we need what we call standards. The recommendations and standards, to me, simply means these are the minimum or maximum limits of these hazards, if at all they have to be there. That is required that if you take that food, you will not have issues. For instance, these days we talk about aflatoxins. And these are issues that cause challenges to health, cause challenges to trade. We had a ban on maize.
Brothers and sisters
yeah,
in
but
Kenya.
we are saying aflatoxins, because of poor post-harvest handling, they are introduced within the grains. But they are recommended levels, and therefore those are standards. We are saying that if you have to consume food that is out of maize grain, then that level, which you cannot avoid, if at all you can't. But if you put measures, you can avoid them. For example, we talk about best practices of post-harvest handling, where we are saying if you are drying maize, dry it on tarpaulins, and if you are to store it, make sure it is dry. Don't store it when it has a lot of moisture. Those are measures that we do. But unfortunately, if you have to store and ensure that you cannot avoid, you cannot minimize it completely, then you must, that food you are going to have must have minimum that should not harm you. So food safety is about those hazards. And the hazards we are talking about, these are simply, some people say, pathogens, the ones we have talked about, bacteria, virus, fungal, but also we have what we call physical. These could be stones, these could be glasses that you find in food, but also chemicals. And the chemicals, they are the ones we are talking about, they lead these lead metals.
When I go to markets, I see a number of tomatoes having mancozeb on them.
And that's the challenge, because these are chemicals, and this is a practice that we are talking, and that's why we said we have come out, because these are practices that are common there with our farmers. You hear them that you have to spray the harvested
To
tomatoes
prolong
shelf life, but you are introducing a hazard, and that is a pesticide, and therefore it is a chemical, and that is endangering the safety of the consumer. So this is why we have come out that yes, we are in commercialization of agriculture, but let's embrace better practices that will help us avoid these cases of foodborne diseases and also endangering this. At the same time, as we get money, but also we address issues of health.
Now this takes me to Ian. First, Ian, you're from THP. How do you come in? For doctor, it is the Ministry of Agriculture. But how do you come in?
We work to see that we support every child reach their full potential. That is under the Right to Grow program, which is a consortium of a number of organizations. Differing a bit from my colleague, he's a professional, and then for us we are community people, people who are at the grassroots, to see that we support vulnerable communities, to see that they can be in position to have adequate information, to support them, demand for services, be able to do something for themselves, to see that their health is a little bit improved. Now, when we talk about health standards, when we talk about food standards, when we talk about food safety at the community level, how is it important for the growth of children? How is it important for the lives of children, their health? Just like the statistics you gave, 1 in 10 person or in 9 people, you see, they get affected. And we have over 200 diseases that come out as a result of food contamination. This raises an alarm. And if people don't have information out there, then they'll be negligent. And most of their emphasis is put on consuming. But then they do not focus on what to consume. You see, just like the professional said, people are now commercializing agriculture, which is not a bad thing. But then at what cost? At what cost is it coming? We want to have a society where people have information, people are able to provide basic food for children. And how does that help young people? How does that help children? They are able to be healthy. That means they won't fall sick regularly. They are able to attend school as they want without being affected. And then they are also able to realize their future dreams. If you have a healthy child who was fed, chances are very high that their performance is at a higher level. And nutrition contributes a lot to someone's future, someone's whatever you're pursuing, whatever you want to become. Nutrition has a part it plays to that. And these are some of the things that are critical when we are out there in the community, when we are talking to people, that it's not just about food, but what kind of food. And then what is challenging is that we also need to have some little bit of mindset change on the fact that it is not just about the Ministry of Agriculture. It's not about us, the community service people. It is not about government. It is everyone's responsibility. We all have a role to play in ensuring food standards. Because at the end of the day, we are all affected as a whole.
Now this brings me to Doctor. When you talk about food standards in our country, first, is this something that people are concerned about, apart from THP and the ministry? I'll give a simple example. I don't know how many Ugandans go into supermarkets and check the expiry date of what they're buying. At least I've ever done a personal research after it happened to me, taking home tomato sauce that had expired, and like, hey, what is this? What have you done? So I learn now. Every time I look at how people pick things from the shelf, then they go to the counter, they are putting their polythenes, and they drive off. Do you find this as a concern to Ugandans?
Thank you. Actually, you have just said, lucky for you now, you demand. Because that is the conscious. It was my colleague was talking about mindset. The challenge we have found in Uganda is that people are not bothered about safety. They are not bothered of what I eat, what is its quality, and what is its safety. Once you go that extra mile, and this is why we are here, we are causing awareness, such that people can now demand for quality, for safety, within the products they are buying. And this is very, very important. We are collaborating with the sister institution, the National Bureau of Standards. They do a lot of work to come up with standards. And like you have said, rightly said, that most of the products that we have on the market, it must have standards. And therefore, it cannot access market before its standard is known. So standard is not only for standard is a tool to help a product access market. But unfortunately in Uganda, people do not appreciate what food safety and what quality is. My colleague was talking about the quality aspects. He was talking about nutrition. When we talk about quality, that is a quality, and quality and safety, they are embedded, because when we talk about quality, we are talking about things that you can see. Like for you, when you are buying that thing in the supermarket, there are quality things you see. What is there by your eyes? But there are also things that you will feel by your mouth. I'm now describing what quality is. When you eat and you say, hey, yes, the taste is good, the flavor is good, that is quality. But unfortunately, there are issues that you cannot see with your eyes.
Yes.
And those are the dangerous ones. And those are the safety issues, the nutrition, the wholesomeness, and the freshness, the wholesomeness and the nutrition of the food. Those are hidden aspects of food safety. And those are now, they're the ones that we are saying that you people, yes. When you see, you will not see safety and quality with your eyes. It calls an extra mile to understand what quality is. And these are issues that now you should demand. That as I go to buy this, yes, let me use what I have. If I'm buying meat, surely, should I buy meat when the butcher is dirty? Hygiene aspects, because you are talking about bacteria, you are talking about virus, they are coming from contaminated environment. We have just given an example of a tomato. Surely, you know a tomato, it cannot be white on top. So surely, how would you buy a tomato? Visibly, you are seeing this tomato is carrying something, probably chemicals. So that if we go that extra mile, then the aspects of standards will be demanded. Because the standard is actually, it should be demanded. But for us as Minister of Agriculture, when it comes to health, when it comes to nutrition, these are becoming a public good. That an institution is mandated by government to ensure that the population is safe. And therefore, standards are very, very important. And as the theme goes, food standards saves life.
Now, when you talk about food standards save life, here I want to bring in Ian. I will not ask Doctor, who is from the ministry. But Ian, do we have food standards in this country? Because do we, when we move around, and are they being enforced? Yes, we know have UNBS if you're making drinks, but by and large, because when you look at these over 200 diseases associated to people consuming food that is not safe, matoke may not be safe. UNBS may not regulate matoke. Look at the meat we eat. Yes, there are doctor, people say, where is the stamp, where is the stamp? But after doctor stamping at the abattoir,
where does it
go? Yes. So do we have these standards, and how are they enforced?
I would first agree to the fact that I believe the standards are there, and our partners in service, that is the ministry and other government entities, are trying something. Just like you said, they are trying something. But what is most challenging is they will not go up to your home. They will not go up to my home, not to everyone's home, not even their gardens. That is what's most challenging. But then, just like I said earlier, what kind of information do the people have? Do they even know that the standards are there? Apart from, let's say, the elite, perhaps they have some knowledge about these policies, they have some knowledge about the standards, they have some knowledge about the agencies. But then, down to the grassroots, what kind of information do they have? And now, that points out to what the challenge is. The food standard at community level, the food standard at grassroots level, whose responsibility is it? That is a question that we all have to try to ponder on and then try to figure out. And now, when we realize whose responsibility it is to enforce these standards, then perhaps we shall see progress. Perhaps we shall see something change. I want to agree to the fact that when communities have information about these food standards, when communities have standard operating procedures about issues concerning food security, about issues concerning food safety, they will enforce them. And we need to empower communities. We need a bottom-top approach where communities are at the center of advocating for their rights. They are at the center of advocating for their food needs. And then to that point in time, we shall see drastic change. And then the other most pressing challenge is we wait to see the effect. We wait to see the impact of food insecurity. And now that is when we want to react. That is when we want to do something about it. Take an instance of what is happening in Maracha, of what is happening in Eastern Uganda, of what is happening in Western Uganda. Part or even most of Western Uganda is a food hub for this country. But then they have issues concerning nutrition. What is the problem? East is where we get some of our food. What is the problem? You wake up in the morning and then you have a cup of porridge and a chapati. How much have you done to your health?
Porridge and chapati.
Exactly. How much have you done to your health? You see, you're in a school whereby in the morning you're having porridge and in the afternoon you're having posho and probably in the evening you're having maize. Do we have food standards in schools? But don't they know that we need to enforce some of those standards? You see, and then it's difficult for government to go down there and then try to enforce this in every school. But then if it is a community responsibility, then I'm sure there is quite a lot that will be done to see that this changes. And then the issue of partnership is very important. The ministry cannot work alone, government cannot work alone, not even us as civil society. We cannot do that alone. We cannot even do it without the community. So we need a partnership between the community, between the civil society and government. And not until we harmonize, not until we pull up those efforts, we are still in dire need.
While you're watching Good Morning Uganda, it is Good Morning Agenda, and I have two gentlemen with whom we are discussing World Food Safety Day that is going to be commemorated tomorrow globally, but on the theme food standards save lives. Now, we cannot have food security without food standards. This is something that I want to bring out clear. Sometimes we talk about food security. We must have food security. But if we don't have food standards, then that means the food we are consuming is a danger to us because if it doesn't meet standards, and we'll be picking up a number of illnesses, sicknesses as a result of food. And like I earlier read to you statistics. Now, doctor, public awareness towards food standards and food safety. Most of the times we prioritize food security. Let every home be able to have food. You know?
Yes.
People are in camps, let's give them food. And when you move in communities, is this an issue of concern? Because we may have the elite, people in urban centers, but they don't make majority of Ugandans. So how is this an issue of concern? Because when if ministry comes up and speaks, civil society speaks, but when we don't see the relevancy of it, I'm looking for what to feed my family. You're not going to tell me how safe is what I'm feeding them. There is meat, a neighbor's cow has been electrocuted. It has fallen sick in the village and someone chooses to slaughter it as soon as possible.
Actually, like I've said, food safety and food security are inseparable. Because food security is simply saying have access to food, which is safe, but like my brother said, it should be nutritious and should be available. So you cannot say I'll have food and the other day I die. So that's why the component of food safety is very, very important. And now in Uganda, like my colleague was saying, that the community is very important, is that when you look at who are the people producing food in this country, largely they are small-scale farmers. Without them, we are nowhere. So like he said, we need, you see, in the area I was talking about, that food safety is a shared responsibility. Because as the food is coming from the farm, as moving towards the consumer, at that level, like an example you gave, the meat has been inspected, it has been certified. But between that point, it is not transported well, and therefore the hazards will come in. And therefore it means whatever someone does at this point affects the other one. And this calls for collaboration. So it's very important that we look, since the largest proportion of people that are providing food to the table are small-scale farmers. And these are people who are using the traditional ways of producing food. And therefore we are saying, let them be changed. The information is talking about. Let's give them information in terms of best practices. And these best practices, we are saying, these are proven ways to do things better, to come up with a product that is safe and of high quality. When the product, the food is safe and of high quality, then it means when you eat, you'll be safe. But also, when it is of high quality, the price will be high. And therefore it means the income will be increased, and that will be development. So most importantly, my colleague has said, and I emphasize it, standards. Elites understand standards. And these issues of foodborne diseases is because the large population that we have, and that is the small-scale farmers, they don't appreciate standards. Why? They are taking in less. They are taking in less. Someone has hustled to produce something, but you're paying him or her peanuts. Why is the relevance of standards? So if we bring in this, and you realize, we have seen people, I can give you examples. So you have seen a situation where someone, a pig, just a piglet, is selling 300,000, whereas another farmer is selling at 50,000. What is that? Because of standards of hygiene. It will help in marketing, and therefore the value take is increased. So what is important now? If we are talking about transformation of small-scale farmers, then embracing standards at that level is very, very important, such that if the food is coming from the farm, it's already meeting the recommended standards. Along the value chain, there will be limited cost of intervention to ensure that it's standard. Because at the beginning, it's already, so standards are very critical at the production level. Because production, which is largely contributed by the large sector, which is small-scale farmers, they don't understand, they don't appreciate standards. And that's why we have come up now. We are saying, all these things we are seeing, foodborne diseases, the risks we are seeing, they are originating from the farm. Because that farm, that's where we have an ecosystem. That the food you eat comes from the soil. You need water. But the spraying you are doing at that level is contaminating what you are taking in. So we need people at that level, our local farmers, the small people who are having 2 acres and what producing the little ones to embrace standards. Once the standards are impressed at that level, then consumers will be safe. So it's very important. The linkage between standards and food security, I would say, is very paramount. Without standards, without food safety, without food quality, we shall not get incomes, we shall not be healthy, and health translates into nutrition. So if you have to eat well, what you eat must be safe and of good quality. And that calls for a standard.
Well, food standards save life. Ian, you want to supplement something?
Well, almost he has said it all. However, the fact that the difference between the prices is very key when it comes to standards. You can yes, you can sell the same item at different costs. Because of standards. That is why you find that people that have tried to maintain good standards, quality standards, are earning more from their products, from their produce, than those who are not maintaining. And then if at all Uganda was at a level whereby we have same standards, similar standards, you will realize that we have a price cap that is fair for every Ugandan. And now this improves the economic growth of every Ugandan, even at grassroots level. Yes. And now that is a bonus, that is a plus. That is something that we all need to embrace. And then he also talked of the fact that sometimes people have information, but they do not appreciate. And when you do not appreciate, then you will not put into practice. First of all, we need to understand the efforts that are being taken at the moment. We need to appreciate the available standards, and then we try to put them into action. And then in the process, we can advocate for some changes, for improvement, and that is all for the better of Ugandans. That is all for the better of the children of this nation.
Well, time is just in my way. Allow me to have your final remarks, Doctor.
Yeah, what I can say now is food safety is an integral component of food security. And it also is an integral component if you have to have income and to have economic development. But most importantly, if we have to assure safety and quality of what we eat, it is a collective effort. It is a shared responsibility. Why? Is that every actor, everyone has a stake, everyone has an activity he does that contributes to the ultimate of food. And whatever you are doing could somehow inevitably introduce a hazard. And therefore, if you can't manage at that level, then you don't push it to the other level. So it is the responsibility of every actor, from the farm to the consumer, to ensure that whatever we eat is safe. And like I said, if we are here to deliver the nation's purpose, and that is food. And we are saying we are for sustainable, profitable, and competitive. And if we have this, that is our vision. And we also saying why we exist, that we need to transform these peasantry farmers to become commercial, to become money-oriented. And we are saying a standard is money, that once you produce it at a level, when you appreciate standards, it will be paid highly.
Okay. Finally, Ian, your concluding remark.
Well, I would like to conclude by saying, as the right to grow, we are very thankful for the Ministry of Agriculture because we've had a lot of complementary activities to support people of this country, much as our efforts may not have been those that can be in position to enable every Ugandan benefit we are still trying the best as we can, and we are calling on more partners to come on board, and we shall still work with the ministry, we shall still work with government, we shall still work with the community to ensure that we support every child, reach their full potential. Our focus on the children is that now, that is the basic. If you support the child, then chances are very high, even at the later stage, they are in good positions to see to it that they have better lives. And by the look of things, it looks like all of us here were well attended to at our infant stages.
Well, I must let you go in the interest of time.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much. That is Dr. Igenyi James, Principal Veterinary Officer Public Health. Thank you so much, and please send regards to people when you get back to Maif.
You are welcome, and thank you.
And also Ian Chikomeko, Executive Director, Touch the Heart, Uganda. Thank you for your time and of course for this informative discussion. It's not only about food you eating and eating, but it is all about how safe is the food you're eating. Food standards save life. Let's all uphold, let's all be very conscious of what we consume, because we've seen more than 200 diseases that are killing people. 1 in every 10 people you meet is suffering from a disease associated or caused due to eating food which is not safe. See you in the next hour, God willing. Ruben is here to take you through sports updates. Good morning.
My name is Abel Bakunda, Deputy RDC Kirabo District. There are so many success stories and achievements that have been registered in Kirabo District and cutting across all the sectors and departments. The government interest is to have seed schools in almost every sub-county, and so far the coverage in Kirabo, we are still like at 40%. We are starting, but we are moving at a high speed. Then the Nyonyintono Health Center, it is also a success story in the Department of Health. We are so far also the government is elevating the Manya Health Center for the district hospital. Then in the Department of Production, there are so many successful farmers moving far away from the traditional subsistence farming to the money economy. Our intervention is